Please put your hands together and give a warm welcome to your Latch-Up 2024 main act and headliner, Pat Deegan for Tiny Tapeout. All right, I got the very last talk, so I hope it'll be a good one. Thank you so far for the conversations and the talks. Thanks also for sticking around. So I am Pat Deegan, and I don't know if you can tell from here, but from the branding there, I am the main guy behind Psychogenic Technologies. Basically, the work involves solving problems and making stuff, mostly in terms of electronics. I also make some YouTube videos of things that I find interesting, so if you want to check that out, please feel free. Today, I'm going to talk about Tiny Tapeout. I did a few projects with Psychogenic where basically I was working with companies who were rolling out their own ASICs. And it got me curious, but the tooling, the licensing servers, it was just such a nightmare. It was repulsive. Seriously, it was terrible. So one meeting out of two was about licensing servers and VPNs. It's like, well, can we get some work done? But the point is, then I see the zeroed ASIC course. Okay, open tools, some way to learn. I got into that, and I got so excited that I ended up working with Matt on the course, and through that with Tiny Tapeout. So today what I'm going to talk about is basically what it is, who it's for, what it can do, and how it works. Now, the crowd here kind of already has a good idea. So what I'm going to be doing is going through the lens of, well, my own particular lens, basically as an end user who's done a couple of tapeouts through Tiny Tapeout, and as someone who works behind the scenes on the system itself, or at least parts of it. So what is Tiny Tapeout? Tiny Tapeout is an educational project that basically lets anyone get to Tapeout. And the idea is to make it easy and to make it cheap. And so how that happened was mostly these two guys. In the beautiful yellow hat is the edutainer, Matt Venn, who's basically a lot of the power behind all this, and Uri Shaket, who is the main driver behind all the infrastructure that lets me say that this is easy. I mean, you post this, push to GitHub, and stuff happens, and it's just magical. It isn't just those two guys, of course. They built on what Tim did for us by getting Sky open up, all the open lane, open road stuff, eFabless that actually gets us from Verilog to a real chip. So who it's for? Who it's for really is everyone. This is kind of the breakdown of the community so far. There's hobbyists and individuals and just people like are kind of random and want to learn about it. But there's industry, there's researchers, there's all kinds of people using Tiny Tapeout. Now, the thing is, we say educational or easy or something like that, and often that'll sound like, well, it'll get you started, it's a toy project. No, you can go through the whole stack. So we have absolute beginners, but we also have, we're really pushing the limits everywhere here. So in terms of absolute beginners, this is nuts. We had workshops like in Berlin here, where in 3 hours we had people coming in with their children, tweens, getting to Tapeout inside of 3 hours. Now, that's kind of amazing, and that's basically because you can use a couple of these tools without knowing anything, go through the intros, use some gates, hook them up, and you've taped out. You've just sculpted nanometer scale stuff. Pretty amazing. Now, a lot of this easy stuff goes through Walkway here, which is not a Tiny Tapeout thing, but Tiny Tapeout relies on it a lot for the beginner stuff. And Walkway is basically a place where you can do your schematics and then simulate, but it's not just Tiny Tapeout. You can have Arduinos and ESPs and stuff like that. That's a Uri thing. Tiny Tapeout uses it a lot for the introductory courses. You can follow this sequence here and find out what the logic gate is, And what you're doing is basically you're using it in browser, and you can run simulations, you can try stuff out, and then all you have to do is clone the repo here, put in your Walkway ID, push, and then all the actions take care of everything, and poof, you've got GDS, and it gets integrated into the system for the next tapeout. Tiny Tapeout also shows you some analog stuff. It's got introductory material telling you about, here are the layers, this is how you make a cap. SillyWiz actually lets you do this in a browser where you're painting. It's like mini magic. You just paint your stuff, ngSpice is in there, it'll figure out Magic will figure out the spice, and then ngSpice will actually run the simulation real time, just like that. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, SillyWiz. So Tiny Tapeout 3, this was when I finally got in and did my own ASIC. This was way back in the days of Tiny Tapeout 3, like a year ago. And so back in those days, the way it works is, so Tiny Tapeout makes it cheap and easy and all that by taking each chip and putting all the projects in there and giving you a selector, and then you select yours or anyone else's. So the problem here was it was a scan chain going through all the projects, and it was really slow, 14 kilohertz or something like that for the clock. And so, okay, I was like, what can I do with this kind of rate? Well, I'll do something audio-based. Okay, so I created Project Neptune, and basically it's a frequency discriminator, but it recognizes the frequencies of the guitar strings. So it'll tell you, oh, this is a B, and you're kind of close, you're spot on, whatever. So I did that, and through the magic of these GitHub actions, it was actually Amaranth to Verilog to this, and it just came out, and it was part of the chip, and wonderful. Also part of the system is this 3D viewer. It basically converts GDS to something that you can load in your browser and look at it, and it's great for Instagram. I made a video about it if you're curious about the process. That's the Neptune video, and so it goes through the design of the thing and how I implemented it. Now, so what happens when you have done that? Well, you wait a little while, and then you finally get one of these. Boop. So this is the demo board I made. What we're doing is basically putting the ASIC on a little carrier board, something that's easy to take out of here and put into your own project. So that's why it's 100 mil, just pin headers. And the demo board itself gives you access to this is Tiny Tapeout 3, so 8 in, 8 out, and that's pretty much it. You've got a project selector, which is using Caravelle, and then the inputs and outputs, well, you can tie them to a breadboard or to PMODs or whatever. So that's a pretty cool system. Then after this, Tiny Tapeout 4. And the major increases in that department were size and speed. First of all, Sylvain Munot did a mux that was pre-hardened, and so suddenly we could select projects and just talk to that one, not go through the whole chain. And so we're talking megahertz, 50, more. And size is, well, you were always limited to this one tile, this little square. This is your square. Enjoy your 1,000 gates. Well, no. Okay, now you can actually say, well, my project needs more space, so I can take 2 or 4 or 8 by 2. So I was like, oh, I have some space. I did some improvements to Neptune, but I also made this. Basically a SHA-256 encoder where again, Amaranth did this thing, but I did it really kind of naive. So what it is it does the SHA-256 on you just input a stream, and at the end you say I'm done, and it comes out. So pretty neat, but that's, well, a lot of memory, right? 256 bits there, and I didn't care about it, didn't use anything smart, so I just put it in there and let everybody figure out how to deal with it, and it made this square, a gigantic 8 by 2 monstrosity that took the maximum amount of space. I mean, my browser's having trouble showing it. It's like, However, in theory, I actually did some formal verification on it, blah, blah, blah. It should work, but we still don't have those chips out. So we'll see about that. But it made this. Okay. In parallel with all that, actually, right, eFabless came and said, hey, we want to enable people to play with these things, and let's do it right away, because the turnaround is kind of slow on these things. So what if, instead of the carrier, we created a little FPGA board that would fit in the same spot? So I made these guys. Well, this is actually for Tiny Tapeout 4 and beyond, but there's also a version 3 that Steve is using in the workshop tomorrow. So basically, you can design your thing, run it, see it in action, play with it on the demo board, and then, okay, I'm ready to tape out, and then you actually get your chip, pop this out, and you're good to go, real life. And then as that was happening, I designed the demo boards for Tiny Tapeout 4. We just got them certified, OSHWA certified, super open. And so that's available online. Now these guys are bigger, stronger, and faster. So they're leveraging the mux. They've got a bunch of, I spent way too long on that documentation, but they've got PMODs of various types, lots of neat features. But the point is the mux. How do you tell the mux which project you want to use? In the old days, we used the select switches, and Caravelle was taking care of that. And not anymore. We need to talk to the MUX, so we put on some sort of MCU. The RP2040, so cheap, so powerful, so wonderful. So that's what we used. So in essence, I've got the demo board that's just a carrier with some extensions, inputs, and the 7-segment display, but there's the RP2040 there, just to drive the MUX. Well, it's there. So I tied it to everything. You can basically ignore it, or you can use it to talk to your I/O on the ASIC. So you could use it as a simulated peripheral. You could use it as, you know, pretend it's RAM, whatever you want. It's really neat. Let's see. These are the Tiny Tapeout 4 demo boards, which are a beautiful shade of purple. And this is actually a Tiny Tapeout 3.5 run because we wanted to try the MUX and, you know, not have everybody go, oh, sadness, we couldn't actually talk to your project. So it worked. It works fast. It goes to 60 megahertz. You're good. More if you want to push it. A few people on the Discord actually played with the voltages and did push it. The point is, yeah, this is available. We just ran, we're just finishing a run of these for reals and shipping what little chips we have out to people who wanted them. The neat thing with the RP is I made an SDK. So basically you press the boot button, plug it in, and it gives you this drive, and you can just pump in a UF2, which is also generated by GitHub Actions. And so you load that, and then you've got a REPL. And so you can write scripts. You can do it manually like this. I do a lot of dev, you know, on the REPL, figure out what's around. It's pretty well documented. It's also open source, of course. And what you do is you could say, here, I'm just going to choose one of the projects. I'm going to say, on this shuttle, these are the projects that are available, tab completion, which is wonderful. I'm going to load my project just by saying .enable. And what it did is it has this config that says, for this project, you want to clock it at, well, 4 kilohertz for this guy, because he's my analog guy, and do this and that, and set these inputs and whatever, and that's what it does. So the config file will let you load it up automatically. You can change it to automatically load your own project or whatever it is. There's lots you can do on that front. Finally, Tiny Tapeout 6 came along. Actually, it just finished while we were doing this the first day here. The deadline came. And so I came to Boston a couple of days early because I wanted to see Boston and do some Turismo. No. I was going to spend all that time, those days, on my laptop getting into this. So that's what happened. Tiny Tapeout, these are the big milestones. It was packed. It was all sold. You can see that spike at the end. I'm +1 on that little green line because everybody was rushing. So we had a little beta gang who were doing analog dev and layout and stuff. And so we all basically crunched. It felt like being at uni during midterms. And we got them in. So that was a learning process in itself. I used Xschem to do my stuff, and that was interesting. And then I used Magic. And Magic was, let's call it a learning curve. It's good we didn't meet a week ago because the principle of least astonishment, no, this was astonishing. I actually turned it off once just because I didn't know how to get out of this mode with my mouse. I felt like my grandmother. But the point is I managed to do this layout, and if you actually read the tutorials, and it kind of helps, and it's so configurable that you can do things like, hey, Control Save, yeah, I don't want to change that reflex. Control S is save. So I remapped a bunch of stuff like that, and now I didn't go insane, and I managed to do this. So it was difficult because the actions, I was passing LVS, everything was great on my side, and then I ended up with please, oh, please, oh, please, and that actually passed. And the thing is, Magic was munging my cells from the digital side, because this is a mixed signal design, and I had to do GDS read-only true, and then import, and blah, blah, blah. So that was an exciting process to discover, but it finally passed. And so the result looks like this. this is my analog side, and here's the neat thing about all this open source stuff. So there's the digital blob that I just generated in OpenLane the usual way, and I plopped it in there and just defined my stuff so that I could figure out LVS. On the left is the R2R DAC slightly modified that Matt did. Bottom right is the P3 op amp from FOSSi that I just decided to stick in there because I had some space and wanted to try out a new layout, so I did that. And then this is basically Wawa. Wawa is either the WoW ADC or the world's worst ADC. We'll see in a few months. So Matt Venn, you can tell, has changed his look. He's now in business mode because he means business. And that's good because seriously, Tiny Tapeout is a business and it's sustainable. So this is a thing giving real people real chips in a way that just works. It's not subsidized, it's not, it's real, so you can participate too. So there's the business side, there's the community side, it's alive. This is great. The Discord is, I mean, this was the beta tester group, but the Tiny Tapeout, just join it. Come on in, because the thing is, there are people here who are beginners, but there's people with a ton of expertise, and you can partake of the fire hose. So that's my invitation. Come and try stuff, play, learn with us, join that community. The early birds, eFabless is actually subsidizing. So Tiny Tapeout 7 opens in a week or something like that. You don't have to have a design ready to reserve your spot. So if you do that, and if you're in the first 100, it's like half price, 150 for a tile, 50 for, and the PCB, I think, and 50 for each additional tile if you want something nice and fat. So thank you to eFabless for that. And that's pretty much it. I hope you'll come and play with us. Forgot my special thanks. One goes to Tim for sure, another to eFabless, and to everyone who's played, including the FOSSi Foundation.
Nice one, Pat. Excellent. Loved it. JR.
I got questions.
Yeah, man.
Plural.
I think they're kind of related to the same thing. So, one, how do you deal with yield? How do I know that, like, I don't know, like, say I sign up, do I get 1 chip back? Do I get 10?
You get 1 chip back by default. Right now, for instance, we had extras on the 3.5, and so we sold those to whoever. But basically, by default, the arrangement is you get 1 in terms of yield of the chips themselves. I have to ask Mohammed on that front, but every chip we've received, I've received, has been good.
That feels like luck.
The process that's being used is being like more than 20 years old. It's very stable and it has high yield naturally now because it's stable. So typically the yield issues will come from a bad design.
Okay, well that was my next question. Okay, it's only $100 or $200, whatever. What's to protect you from maybe a slight design rule violation somebody else's where they've got
okay, well that's great.
The
reason we can have analog now is that we're sticking, it's actually easier. I just give it GDS and it deals with that, right? So I'm further down the chain. Now, what if my GDS is a short between power and ground? Well, Tiny Tapeout used to not allow any kind of analog, any GDS or anything like that just because of that. Oh, you just messed up everybody's project. But now they're power gated. So every little block, your project can still be poison, okay? Don't turn it on. But if it's poison, it'll be marked as such and it won't be in the config and no one else can turn it on unless they really, really try. So that's that.
Okay, I gotta ask. I used to go talk to Mohammed about, I want to do a YouTube series. It's called Fire and Smoke Friday. Every Friday, we get a new Tiny Tapeout.
Every Friday.
Every Friday. Well, yeah, every Friday. And we're going to blow it up.
I'm game, but you're asking the wrong guy here.
and it sounds like, you know, I'm a little disappointed because we're actually going to have to work at it to blow it up now.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder. But you can still blow up your design. And in fact, my thing is a mixed signal thing, and I actually had some trouble because I made it all the way to LVS, but I couldn't do a complete simulation. So normally you'd use Verilator and da-da-da, but Verilator just was acting very strangely, and I had 8 hours before the deadline, and it was like, well, I'll do some simulation and just like, so I added a bunch of various ways of using things. Even if the digital size dies, I'll still be able to play with the op amp and a bunch of other stuff, even the comparator.
Pat, I have a question, slightly personal maybe. What's your background? Like, what skill set did you have coming into doing this? And
Well, the studies long ago were physics, and then I moved to IT, and then I kind of got bored, so I moved to hardware, and then I kind of got bored, and I got closer and closer to the atoms, basically, and ended up doing this kind of stuff.
yeah, nice. And I really think, I mean, Ethan's got a YouTube channel. It's great to see your YouTube channel. I think there's definitely a dearth of material out there on this topic. So
I'm working on it.
more the better. Yeah, it's fantastic, and like, you know, high energy and like information dense, and yeah, it's really awesome to see. So I look forward to. I've just subscribed, and I look forward to.
Please subscribe.
Yeah,
And like.
and subscribe. If you see this on YouTube, like and subscribe. Yeah, so that's really cool too. And so the more the merrier there, I reckon. Yeah.
Just one more thing, if you go to tinytapeout.com/find the actual chips on the left, you'll see what other people did. And just, you know, traditionally semiconductor people will say, I can't do this with this tile ever. And then you'll see very, very cool designs and very well documented as well.
It's one of my favorite things about the whole process. You can see the designs, you can play with them, mix and match them. Also, when you get your chip, you get everybody's project. So yeah, I'm going to play with mine, but yours was awesome, yours was awesome. Also, I found something weird with yours.
Right. We just got a few last announcements.
Oh yeah, sure. But we'll wrap up for Pat. Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
All right, everybody, that concludes the first 2 days of Latch-Up, which is sort of the more regularly scheduled stuff. We will update the schedule with more details on what's happening tomorrow. I don't know them off the top of my head, but keep an eye on the channel and the page.
So Flat Tops is 238 Main Street, but you got to walk all the way around the building to get in there. It's in the back. And I think that's about it. Check in the XB Gas room to find a time to go. They only have a few boards. If you want to get on their boards, you're going to have to book some time tomorrow.
So for Flat Tops, we'll buy drinks and dinner, probably like a reasonable amount of drinks and definitely dinner. Still a bit TBD on the system over there. I think we're going to get like drink tickets. Olaf's trying to negotiate it now. Just hassle Olaf when you get there. He'll love that. But yeah, I think there's tickets. But either way, we'll do like a tab or something. So yeah, just kind of follow the crowd out. There's still HRT swag, I think. Water. Did I see you getting badges out? Yes. Yeah. You should work the room at Flat Tops and kind of, you know, yeah, get the swag out there. Yeah. I think.
Take everything out of here.
Yeah.
Close it on tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thanks again for a great day. Thank you to the speakers. Thank you to the sponsors. Thank you to everybody who's here. Let's go drink beer. Thank you.
Yeah.